Well, we finally found some springtime weather on this road trip. A glorious sunny day in Milwaukee with the roof open for some D-backs baseball. And now can the clouds finally part over our heads and snap this losing skid? It's breakfast with the D-backs from Wisconsin on Fox Sports Arizona. Good morning from Miller Park and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly along the way. The series finale here against the Brewers as the D-backs look for their first victory on this road trip. And Bob, they'll look to Zach Godley to get it for them this afternoon.
Yeah, Zach coming off a pretty solid outing in New York, gave up only 4 hits and 1 earned run in 6 innings of work. You see his numbers on the season, a fine .378 ERA. Got to watch the early innings of the game. Zach has given up 17 of his 25 runs in the first 3 innings of ball games this year.
And here on this sunny day at Miller Park, the Brewers hand the ball to a soft-tossing lefty type. It's Brent Suter.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Average fastball at 87 miles an hour. He, too, coming off a win against Minnesota last time out. 5 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 1 run in that game. Slow everything down.
D-backs looking to snap this 6-game losing skid and take the finale in Milwaukee before it's on to Oakland to play the A's over the weekend. First pitch from Miller Park is coming up on Fox Sports Arizona.
D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today. By BJ's Restaurant and Brew House. Visit bjsrestaurants.com to find a location near you. By Carl's Jr. Memphis Barbecue Thick Burger is back at Carl's Jr. for a limited time. Go on and pick it up. And by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money. By Chaz Roberts, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By BJ's Restaurant and Brew House. Visit bjsrestaurants.com to find a location near you. And by Jack in the Box. This season, D-backs home runs score free Jumbo Jacks only at Jack in the Box.
Roof and outfield panels wide open on a bright sunny day in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the D-backs and the Brewers. First pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. Welcome to the D-backs and the Brewers. Steve Berthew, Bob Renly, Jody Jackson with you. The D-backs have lost 6 games in a row, 12 of their last 13, and they've scored only 24 runs in these last 13 games. Time to get things turned around with this offense, and here's the lineup brought to you today by your Valley Chevy dealer.
Yeah, hopefully this bright sunshine and open roof will get the Diamondbacks out of hibernation. David Peralta will lead it off out in left field. Nick Ahmed will be at shortstop. Chris Owings slides over to center field this afternoon. Paul Goldschmidt will be at first. Ketel Marte at second. John Ryan Murphy doing the catching. Socrates Brito getting his first start of the 2018 season out in right field. Devin Marrero getting a rare start over at third base, and right-hander Zach Godley on the mound.
Well, given the circumstances, Bob, I wonder, pray tell, what will be your Valley Honda dealer's key to the game?
Well, we're going to try to break the streak again. Diamondbacks had a 6-game losing streak that was snapped with a victory over the Brewers, but now they're mired in another 6-game losing streak, so hopefully the Brewers will oblige again here today.
Some nice symmetry there. Your Ram truck starter for Milwaukee is the left-hander Brent Suter. They call him the Raptor. He's got a big wingspan out there at 6'5" tall. And he's a Harvard man. Brewers drafted him out of Cambridge with a 31st round pick 6 years ago.
Yeah, 4-pitch mix from Brent Suter. Relies mostly on a fastball slider combination. He throws an occasional curve, an occasional straight changeup. And as we mentioned in the open, he's not a hard thrower. Average fastball this season sitting just a tick over 86 miles an hour.
E.D. Marshall Jewelers gives us a look around the diamond at the Brewers defense.
Hernan Perez getting the start out in left field today with Christian Yelich in center. Domingo Santana over in right field. It'll be Travis Shaw and Tyler Saladino on the left side of the infield today with Jonathan Villar and Jesus Aguilar at first base. Jet Bandy will be behind the plate for the left-hander Brent Suter.
Behind the plate for the umpires is the crew chief. Larry Vanover calls the balls and strikes today. Hunter Wendelstedt is at first base. Chris Guccione at second. And Angel Hernandez at third. D-backs have totaled just 3 hits in each of the first 2 games in this series after getting swept in New York to start this road trip. And in danger today of getting swept here in Milwaukee for the first time since June of 2008. So it's been nearly 10 years. David Peralta will lead it off.
Well, and certainly it's no secret to Diamondbacks fans what they need to do to turn things around. Let's start banging that ball around a little bit. Get some guys on base. Get that merry-go-round going.
Well, David at 265 has the highest batting average in the starting lineup today, and he'll lead it off against Brent Suter. And we're underway on a Wednesday in Wisconsin with strike one. David has a pair of singles in the series. He's hit safely in 3 straight games. And you will notice right away that Brent Suter works very quickly on the mound. He gets it and throws it. He's got that getaway day pace out there. This one is foul down the left field line.
I think that's a good pace on any day. You keep your defenders on their toes behind you. If you have a quick inning, you get your team right back in that dugout swinging the bats. I don't know why more pitchers don't work at a faster pace.
And he starts it off with a strikeout of Peralta, 1 away.
Well, this would be a good challenge for the Diamondbacks offense. Not that they haven't had plenty of challenges lately, but you know, we've seen a lot of hard throwers lately, guys with fastballs that approach triple digits, sliders in the low 90s. Not going to see anything close to that today.
Nick Ahmed in the 2-hole, 209, 6 homers. Nick jumps on the first pitch, drives it to center field. Christian Yelich drifting over toward right center, and he's got it on a warning track. Torey Lovullo was telling us this morning that it's velocity that's beating this team. They're a good hitting fastball team, but just not hitting fastballs lately. And so we'll get a different look from Brent Suter. Here's Chris Owings batting third. The skipper looking for answers. Sutter's throwing strikes. It's 0-1. CO 192. He's homered twice.
Just a bit outside.
Tried the corner and missed. Jet Bandy back there today. Up and in on Owings, and it's 1-2. Two strikeouts in the inning. Zach Godley coming up from Miller Park. Is the right-hander Zach Godley. Zach 0-2 in 4 starts this month, coming off a loss in New York to open up this road trip.
Yeah, the walks have been somewhat of an issue for Zach Godley recently. He's walked at least 4 in 2 of his last 3 starts, and with Larry Vanover behind the plate calling a normally very tight strike zone, Zach Godley's really going to have to wire it in today.
Valley Chevy Dealers has the Brewers lineup today.
A little bit of a different look for Craig Counsell today. Hernan Perez leading it off out in left field. Christian Yelich in center field. Jesus Aguilar down at first base. Travis Shaw across the diamond at third. Domingo Santana will be in right field with Jonathan Villar at second. Tyler Saladino at short. Jet Bandy doing the catching for the lefty Brett Suter.
Hernan Perez. There's a strike at the knees. Perez, the left fielder today, 258, 3 homers, his first start in the leadoff spot this year. Oddly ahead quickly, 0-2. You mentioned Larry Vanover. He is not a strike caller by nature. He's a hitter's umpire and tends to give that low strike much less often than most umpires we see. So we'll keep an eye on that today. Godley needs that bottom third of the strike zone. A good start for Zach. Strikes out Perez to get it started. E.D. Marshall Jewelers gives us a look around the diamond at the D-backs defense.
Socrates Brito getting his first start this season out in right field. Chris Owens slides over to center. David Peralta in his customary left field position. Devin Marrero getting the start at third base with Nick Ahmed at short. Ketel Marte at second. Paul Goldschmidt over at first. John Ryan Murphy doing the catching today for right-hander Zach Godley.
Center fielder today is Christian Yelich, adding 281 with 5 home runs. Yelich's single Monday is his only hit in the series. The Brewers coming in 30-19, leading the National League Central Division. The first team in the league to get to 30 wins this year. They are playing very well as of late. Milwaukee has won 9 of its last 12, including during that stretch 4 wins against the D-backs.
And as we pointed out, the first 2 games of this series, Craig Counsell's missing some very important pieces of this Brewers roster.
This is hit hard to Brito in right field, and it's off the base of the wall. Socrates gets it back in quickly, but Yelich has a double.
Ball hit like a bullet right over the head of Socrates Brito in right field. Boy, Christian Yelich, the more you see him, the more you like him. Guy with a really quick bat. A little bit of a delay right there, an extra crow hop before getting that ball back to the infield, but with Yelich's speed didn't make any difference. He was going to get a double either way.
114 miles an hour off the bat of Christian Yelich there. A 1-out double ahead of Jesus Aguilar. Back in there at first base today. 321 and 7 homers. He was off last night, 0 for 4 Monday, struck out twice.
I mentioned it last night talking to Craig Counsell yesterday about Aguilar. He said, the guy weighs 300 pounds. You got to give him a day off once in a while. That's a lot of load to carry around those bases.
Well, he's putting a lot of weight behind some of these swings. Prior to Monday's opener, he had homered in 3 straight games. 4 home runs in 3 games at Minnesota over the weekend to win the last Brewers road trip. And there for a strike, 1-1. Belted into left center. This will get Yelich home with the game's first run, and it's 1-0 Milwaukee.
It's amazing when you're not swinging the bats well as a team, the other team seems to make it look so easy. Christian Yelich with a line drive into right. Jesus Aguilar gets a pitch up in the zone, even though he hit it off the end of the bat. Strong enough to muscle it out there into left field for the first RBI of the game.
And here is the cleanup man, Travis Shaw, who leads the Brewers in home runs and runs batted in. He homered Monday night, his only hit in the series. This is lifted out to right field. Brito is there. 2 outs. That'll bring up Domingo Santana. Santana 252, 3 homers. Last night he drove in the game's only run with a sacrifice fly. He homered here Monday. That one misses down low. 1-0 on the Brewers right fielder. Just off the plate for Larry Vanover's liking, and it's 2-0.
Three straight knuckle curves to fall behind 3-0 in the count here to Santana.
Other teams are just not chasing that curveball the way they did earlier this year.
Or attacking early fastballs if they happen to see one, not to get to that curveball.
3-0 is low. That'll bring up Jonathan Villar. First and second and 2 outs. A run is in. Villar, the second baseman, batting .281 with 2 home runs.
You see the second base umpire right there, Chris Guccione, signaling to Angel Hernandez over at third, as well as Larry Vanover behind the plate. We talk all the time about the umpires and their signs to each other. There's a certain rotation. If the ball's hit down in this corner, you know, you go here, I'll go there. And they've got signs that they use to each other to let them know where they're going to be if the ball's put into play in a specific area of the field.
Villar gets a new stick. He singled in Monday's opener. That's his only hit in the series. He struck out 3 times. Oh, 0-2.
It goes without saying, the way the Diamondbacks offense has been struggling lately, you need to stop the bleeding right here. Give them 1, but don't give them any more here in the first inning.
Yeah, the D-backs have played 5 games against Milwaukee this year and scored a total of 8 runs. Not much room for these pitchers to work with. Saw that with Matt Cook last night.
Yep.
Tyler Saladino, the shortstop, is the on-deck man. 2 on, 2 outs, 1 and 2 on Jonathan Villar. Well, Zach already looking at a 20-pitch first inning. Does he need to start throwing that curveball for strikes more often to get teams to start committing to it more like they were earlier this year?
I think it would help to throw some first pitch strikes. Yeah, roll one up there and steal a strike. I mean, they know he's got a curveball. They have the same advanced reports and the same analytics that every other team has. They know Zach Godley relies on that curveball heavily, but if you don't throw it for strikes often enough, eventually the other team's just going to disregard it.
2 and 2. This is low. Aguilar is the runner at second. And Santana at first. Runners on the move. And that one misses low. The bases are loaded for Saladino. Back-to-back 2-out walks for Zach Godley. Here comes Mike Butcher.
Well, it seems like we've seen this movie an awful lot lately. Diamondbacks struggling in the first inning to get anything going, even to put together good at-bats, and then giving runs away early in the ball game, knowing that your offense has had trouble scoring lately. Just a Groundhog Day.
Now, this is the way it seems to have gone, Bob, for Zach Godley lately as well. Just really inconsistent command, not as sharp and crisp as he was earlier this year. Just kind of out there searching for it. And now with 2 outs of the bases full, it's the shortstop Tyler Saladino. Aguilar is at third, Santana at second, and Villar with good speed at first. There's your first pitch strike on 1. Saladino just his 4th start at shortstop for the Brewers this year. In there today for the slumping Orlando Arcia. Good pitch right there from Godley. He's ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Got him, a big strikeout for the Bulls. Zach Godley, who leaves them loaded, but the Brewers take a 1-0 lead.
that I am human, and I hurt too. I hurt like they do. I don't, whether it's in front of them, I'm sure they could hear something I was saying or doing, but it's my reaction. It's who I am, and I have the same sort of frustration as everybody else. So.
Now, Torey Lovullo, when asked if he's kind of lost it with this, losing 12 of 13, and you know what, flipping tables or throwing food across the room, and he said that's not his style. He's authentic. He is who he is, and Bob, you know, that's probably the most important thing for the manager, to stay true to yourself, right?
If that works, yeah. Otherwise, you got to cheat yourself. You got to do whatever you have to do to jumpstart this ball club somehow. And I'm sure Torey has done some things that he normally wouldn't do that are out of character for the person that Torey Lovullo is. But as a manager, you've got to exhaust every possibility to motivate your guys and get them back on the right track.
If you go in there and flip a food table over or break a locker, break something, throw something, and it's not part of who you are, do guys sort of read that as a phony gesture, kind of an empty threat?
Yeah, they can. I mean, you know, it's not uncommon for a manager or a coach or a player for that matter, when you're frustrated, to let out a lot of profanities and kick some things around and kind of vent a little bit. But I don't know that it does any good. It may make you feel better momentarily, but I don't think it jumpstarts your team or anything like that. I said it before, if that's all it took, every manager would be slamming bats when his team doesn't score a run, or throwing his hat in the air when a pitcher walks a guy, but that's not really going to help anything.
Goldie fouling off a whole bunch of pitches here to start the second.
I mean, in a very short time, these guys are very well aware of what makes Torey tick and what kind of guy he is and what kind of reaction they're likely to get if they play well, if they play poorly. Yeah, Torey's very consistent.
Goldie gets one toward the left field corner, and there it goes. Paul Goldschmidt, number 6. And we're tied at 1. That's a nice swing there. Godley gets the bases loaded strikeout to keep it 1-0. Goldie leads it off with a homer. And we're all even in Milwaukee.
Well, it looked like Goldie was determined he was going to pull a ball into left field. Got that loopy breaking ball from Suter out there on the mound, left it out over the outer part of the plate and up, and Goldie, as I mentioned, that entire bat looked like he was trying to pull that ball into left field.
Jumbo Jack, free Jumbo Jack tomorrow, a Jack in the Box with the purchase of a large drink. Ketel Marte hits it to third for Shaw. Well, Goldie, 6 home runs this year, 5 of them now come against left-handed pitchers. Counting today just his 2nd home run in 34 games. The catcher is John Ryan Murphy.
I think Torey brought up a good point too. The players are aware that Torey's frustrated. You don't have to go out in the middle of the locker room and start yelling and screaming.
Murphy gets one in the air deep to center field, and that one is gone. John Ryan Murphy, it's 2-1 D-backs.
That's a welcome sight,
isn't it though?
Ryan Murphy ready for that first delivery right down the middle and absolutely gasses it out there to center field, way back.
Socrates Brito, his first big league at bat this year. Another Jumbo Jack, courtesy of John Ryan Murphy. Free Jumbo Jack tomorrow, a Jack in the Box with the purchase of a large drink. Brito hits this one to VR at second base. 2 down.
I just want to complete that thought about going out into the locker room and yelling at the players and swearing at them or whatever. You can do just as much from your office. They can hear you. They know you're in there venting. I had a big metal trash can in my office at then Bank One Ballpark, now Chase Field. And after particularly frustrating losses, I'd take a fungo bat and beat on that metal can a little bit. And I know the players could hear it out in the clubhouse, and I didn't have to say anything. They knew I was frustrated. And the thing is, Torrey knows the players are frustrated as well. They're trying everything they can possibly do to snap out of this long slump. And sometimes in this game, all you can do is bide your time and wait for the tide to turn.
Devin Marrero in at third today. Well, Torrey, when he yells at guys or needs to have an uncomfortable moment, it's generally privately in his office. He's not a guy who makes a big show or display of yelling at guys and getting in their faces in the clubhouse. He manages one-on-one, good and bad. That's how most of those conversations go. He's not a big speech maker. Marrero chases a high fastball, but the D-backs get a pair of solo shots. Goldie gets it started, number 6. Murphy follows with his 5th. We head to the bottom of the 2nd at Miller Park in Milwaukee. It's 2-1 D-backs. Fans enjoy afternoon baseball at Chase Field with matinee price tickets. Our next matinee game is next Wednesday, May 30th against the Cincinnati Reds. Get your matinee tickets now. dbacks.com/matinee. Beautiful afternoon baseball here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Zach Godley with a 2-1 lead. And the Brewers catcher Jet Bandy leads off the Milwaukee second. D-backs have 3 infielders on the left side. Bandy hitting 180 with 1 homer. He's the backup catcher, making his 19th start behind the plate.
D-backs offense did a nice job of answering that Brewer first inning run with 2 of their own. Now you need the shutdown inning from Zach Godley in the defense. Get your team back in that dugout and hopefully build on that momentum.
Now long first for Zach Godley. Gave up a double, a single, 2 bases on balls, but held the Brewers to 1 run. Left them loaded with a big strikeout of Tyler Saladino to win that home half of the first. Bandy hasn't done much offensively as of late. 3 for 27 in his last dozen games. 2-2. The pitcher, Brent Suter, on deck. Good spot for that fastball on 3-2, but Bandy fouls it off. Godley loses the leadoff man in the second. He's now walked 3 of the last 4 he's faced. And here's the pitcher, Suter. Suter in an obvious sacrifice situation here, but he can swing the bat a little bit. He's got a home run this year. A home run off Corey Kluber, no less, of the Indians. Marrero comes in at third. Suter squares. Can't get the bunt down. 0-1.
Brent Suter went to Moeller High School in Cincinnati, Ohio, but couldn't get into Ohio University, so he went to Harvard instead.
Well, everybody has to have a backup school, especially if you're targeting the Harvard of the Midwest. What is it? The Harvard on the Hocking?
Harvard on the Hocking. Yeah, the Hocking River runs right through campus.
So he went to the actual Harvard. Consolation prize, 0-2. Two strikes, squaring up. Tries to butcher boy it. Hits it to shortstop. Ahmed, they get 1, and that's it.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
1 out now. Here's the leadoff man, Hernan Perez. He struck out his first time up. Perez has had only 5 plate appearances since last Monday, more than a week ago. He's been battling a sore wrist, but back in the starting lineup here today. Larry Vanover gives Godley the high strike, 0-1. Oldie not holding the pitcher, Suter on the bag at first. Ball and a strike on Perez. Perez in left field today. He started games already at 5 different positions this year, mostly second base. Slices this one to deep right field. Brito makes a leaping catch into the shadow in front of the wall out there. Allowed out number 2.
Brito back to the warning track and then backpedals very near the barrier out there. The ball was slicing back to his left as he was pursuing it. Had to make a quick adjustment right there at the end.
Christian Yelich doubled and scored in the first. Yelich, one of the big offseason acquisitions, acquired in a trade in January from the Miami Marlins for Lewis Brinson and 3 minor leaguers. Their other big offseason acquisition, Lorenzo Cain, has the day off so far today. So Yelich is in center. Here's Cain.
He's had a big series. Singled, homered, scored 2 runs in the opener. Batting third last night, a couple of knocks and a walk.
Back where he started his career in Milwaukee before he was traded to Kansas City in a deal involving Zach Greinke. Godley behind 3-0. A lot of pitches for Zach so far. Aguilar, the big first baseman, on deck. That's already Godley's 4th walk of the ball game. 2 on and 2 out for Aguilar, who had an RBI single his first time up. Godley has walked 4 of the last 7 Brewer batters. He's got Suter, the pitcher, at second. Yelich with good speed at first, and here's Aguilar. Godley at 44 pitches, barely half for strikes. Hard to third. Marrero makes a diving stop, and he beats Suter to the bag to get the force. What a play by Devin Marrero to save at least 1 run, maybe 2. He keeps it 2-1 D-backs in Milwaukee.
No matter where you serve or when you served, we stand ready to serve all military families.
2-1 D-backs as we start the third inning at Miller Park. Fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, remember you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona and your D-backs with you wherever you go. We go to the third, and Zach Godley leads it off against lefty Brent Suter. Suter gave up a pair of solo homers in the last inning, one by Paul Goldschmidt, the other by John Ryan Murphy. Brewers got their run in the bottom of the first on a Yelich double and an Aguilar RBI single. Here's the Brent Suter fastball. You'll see it usually about 87 or so. And he's been throwing that more than 60% of the time this year. He'll mix in the slow slider and changeup. And once in a while he'll try and change the shape of his breaking ball. You'll see the occasional curveball. The leadoff man David Peralta on deck. 3-1 is out to right center, and it drops in for a base hit for Godley.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free crunchy beef tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
David struck out to lead off the ball game. There's the breaking ball, and it's 0-1. Aguilar at first base playing behind the runner Zach Godley. And this one trickles through into right. Peralta's now hit safely in 4 straight.
David Peralta owes that base hit to Zach Godley. If Godley doesn't get the base hit, Aguilar's playing back in the hole and probably makes the play on that ground ball, but because he was holding Godley on at first base, or playing right behind him anyway, left a hole on that right side, and David able to take advantage that time.
Well, this is something Torey Lovullo talks about all the time, linking at bats together, winning moments, hand it off to the next guy. 2 singles open up the third, and here's Nick Ahmed. Nick flying out to center his first time up. It's a good spot for Nick right here. This year he's batting over 300 with runners in scoring position. He's hitting almost 290 versus left-hand pitchers. 2 on and no outs. Got that fastball up. 0-1. Brent Suter has yet to throw what you would classify as a quality start this year. Milwaukee only 3-5 at his 8 starts this season. He's worked both in the rotation and in the bullpen this year. Chased another high fastball, and it's 0-2. D-backs already with 4 hits. That's more than they've had in either of the first 2 games of this series. And 2 of those hits are home runs. Trying to get him to chase a third fastball up there. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Brent Suter, for a guy that doesn't throw real hard, he has the same violent head whip that we see from Max Scherzer. Watch his head at the point of release. He really jerks it hard toward the third base side.
Finally went to a breaking ball down low. And Nick has worked at full 3-2. Well, maybe that'll give him an extra mile or two an hour on his fastball or something.
Up there to 88.
He could use it.
I'll tell you, for a guy that doesn't have a high velocity fastball, he's not afraid to pitch up in the zone. He gets a lot of his strikeouts on fastballs up at 87.
Dropped to short. Saladino for 1. And that's it. One out, first and third for Owings, who struck out his first time up. VR is almost right behind the bag at second. All kinds of room for CO on the right hand side. Aguilar holding Ahmed on the bag at first. They throw over and he's just back in there safely. D-backs may be extra careful today after they had 4 men thrown out on the bases last night. Hunter Wendelstadt down there says safe. Aguilar is campaigning the Brewer dugout to challenge that one.
Also, I think he took his sunglasses over to Orlando Arcia on the bench. It fell off as he reached for that pickoff attempt into the dirt. He says, if I'm going to wear them on my hat, I might as well just give them to somebody on the bench.
The roof and the outfield panels are open here. The lights are on inside the ballpark. So it's plenty bright down there. Starts him off with a breaking ball. Way outside, 1-0. It's been a tough series for CO. 0 for 9 with 5 strikeouts. Godley's at third. Ahmed at first. 1 out. Boy, it's starting to sail on him when he tries to go upstairs with that fastball. 40 pitches, 26 for strikes.
Boy, that hole on the right side has got to be an inviting target for Chris Owings right now. There's all kinds of room on the right side of the infield with Aguilar holding on the runner and VR cheating up the middle.
Well, if you can just get it through over there, you score Godley. Good chance that Nick gets to third base. Chris ahead, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Not getting a real good read on that pickoff move by Brent Suter out there on the mound. I think on the first attempt when they almost got him, he felt that Suter crossed the right foot over the imaginary plane of the rubber. That's one way a left-hander can balk. If that right foot goes behind the rubber and then you throw to first base, that's a balk.
And that's something that happened to Goldie the other night here. That was in New York, pardon me. Thought it was a balk move in that finale against the Mets.
And what some pitchers will do, and some guys are real adept at it, they'll cross the plane of the rubber with their knee, but they'll keep their foot on the right side of the rubber.
Got a high fastball, swing and a miss. Fourth strikeout for Suter. Cricket Wireless, something to smile about. Paul Goldschmidt leads off the second inning with his 6th home run of the year. Two on and 2 outs for Goldie. Brewers have 3 defenders now on the left side, so that right side even more wide open. Shoots it over there, foul, and it's 0-1. Goldie's home run, his 8th homer in 23 games here at Miller Park. He's got Godley at third, Ahmed at first, and 2 outs. Well, you're right, Bob. It's only 87, 88 at best, but he's throwing it up there, and they're chasing after it.
And looking at the numbers for Suter, it's remarkable. The 3rd time through the order, when he's ahead in the count, he throws even more fastballs.
0-2. Goes up and tomahawks that one to right center. Yelich drifting over there. Suter strands 2. It stays 2-1 D-backs. And it's 2-1.
It is a little bluer.
In the 3rd, yeah. Getting bluer every day here in Milwaukee. Valley Toyota Dealers presents Let's Go Places. We're on an airplane after this one. Day off tomorrow. First of 3 Friday at the glorious Oakland Coliseum. Patrick Corbin, Clay Buchholz, and Zach Greinke will start those games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. First time the D-backs have been to Oakland since 2011. It's been a while.
Not long enough.
Now I'm told by some of the NBA fans that there will also be a basketball game there Friday night, so things could get a little crowded. The Warriors play in the parking lot.
Well, there's never any traffic issues in the Bay Area.
Well, that's Saturday's game.
They're talking about going places. Former D-backs bench coach Ron Gardenhire takes his Detroit Tigers back to Minnesota for the first time.
Yeah, good for Gardy.
They got shut out last night 6-0, but yeah, I think the fans in Minnesota were really glad to see him, and I'm sure Gardy was glad to renew some acquaintances.
Well, they made a big presentation for Gardy when we were there last year at Target Field, and he was Torey Lovullo's bench coach. Travis Shaw leads off the Brewer 3rd against Zach Godley. D-backs have out-hit Milwaukee 4-2. They lead at 2-1. Solo home runs by Paul Goldschmidt and John Ryan Murphy. Brewers got their run in the 1st inning. Yelich doubled and Aguilar had an RBI single. Shaw flying out his first time up. D-backs overload the right-hand side. That one way off the plate, but Larry Vanover gives Godley the call. It's a ball and a strike. There's a look at the defense. Devin Marrero in at third today. The only defender on the left. Into the shift. That's Nick Ahmed, the shortstop. One out. Here's Domingo Santana. He walked his first time up. Godley walked 4 through the first 2 innings of the ball game. The control's not quite been there so far today. But hopefully Zach can settle in here in the third. Chop foul behind Ed Cedar at third base. 0-1. Last night was Milwaukee's first shutout of the D-backs since August of 2007. The last series sweep versus the Diamondbacks for Milwaukee, May of 2010. So the D-backs looking to salvage the finale here before it's off to Oakland. Avoid that sweep. 50 pitches, 28 strikes, and Santana goes down swinging. Third strikeout for Godley.
Nasty knuckle curve that time, well off the plate, a lot of downward movement. Santana with a feeble hack at that one.
Jonathan Villar, a base on balls, his first time up. Larry Vanover is not known as a strike caller, very much a hitter's umpire, but he's expanding that zone a little bit here, east and west. So that's working out in Zach's favor so far. A little too far away that time, and it's 1-1.
Well, it is getaway day, and the umpires have a plane to catch too.
The umpires never have a home game.
Unless you're lucky enough to live in one of the cities that you visit over the course of the summer. Yeah, you're on the road all summer long.
Left field for Peralta. It's a base hit for Villar. It drops in front, a 2-out single. Yeah, we have a number of umpires that are Valley residents. Yeah. Ted Barrett, Jim Reynolds, among others.
I remember from my days in Chicago, Mark Carlson, born and raised in the Chicago area, so every time he went to do a Cubs game, he got to stay at home with his parents, see some friends and family.
So managers could just yell at him, go, why don't you go home to mother?
Why don't you go back home?
Get a job. Get out of the house. Saladino struck out with the bases full to end the first. Got to watch Villar down there. He can run. 8 stolen bases this year. He's only been caught once.
Putting on his Willie Mays Hayes base stealing gloves.
Hey, your shoes untied. Saladino swinging for downtown Milwaukee that time. A ball and a strike. Of course, he does have 2 home runs this year, both coming against the D-backs last week at Chase Field. Watching Hunter Wendelstedt over there at first base, Bob, he looks like he's got more of Angel Hernandez's viewpoint that you were pointing out the other night when Angel had first base. Maybe not quite as dramatic as Angel, but he's pretty close there.
Yeah, we checked with the broadcasters for the Brewers. We checked with Bob Uecker, and none of them had ever seen a first base umpire assume that position on a potential pickoff move over there.
Murphy tries to get in front of that one, but it kicks away, and VR moves up.
Lucky just to get any body part in front of that one. A spiked curveball over in that left-handed batter's box with a lot of spin. It's not going to take a true bounce. John Ryan Murphy just lucky to keep that one from going all the way to the backstop.
Two balls, one strike on the shortstop, Tyler Saladino. They are at second and 2 outs. And there for a strike, it's 2-2. Jet Bandy, the catcher, would be next. Hard to short. Ahmed is there to clean it up. And Godley strands the 2-out single through 3. It's 2-1 D-backs.
History brought to you by Geico. D-backs fans will fondly remember this one back in '08. Only 6 weeks after successful thyroid cancer surgery, Doug Davis allowed only 1 run over 7 innings, 11-1 win over the Braves down at Turner Field. What a moment for Doug Davis. What a moment for the organization.
Ketel Marte leads off the 4th. That was a big day for baseball fans everywhere, in fact.
That came less than a week after John Lester, another cancer survivor, threw a no-hitter.
Marte grounded out his first time up. D-backs have a 2-1 lead here. Trying to bunt his way on for a base hit. Fouled back, and it's 1-2. D-backs have done so much in the fight against cancer with the Diamondbacks Foundation, the race against cancer, everything the organization has done to battle that deadly disease, as Marte strikes out to open up the 4th. Here's John Ryan Murphy, who hit a long home run to deep center field in the 2nd inning. 2 batters after Goldie went yard. Banged it off the seats out there. Murphy's 5th of the year. And that's something we're starting to get used to with John Ryan Murphy. This is his 11th game of the year as the starting catcher. And in those 11 games, counting today, he's got 5 homers and 11 RBIs. So you're getting a lot of production from John Ryan when he's back there behind the plate. Boy, something about that 87-mile-an-hour fastball, just a tick above the zone, that has been very effective for Suter here today.
Yeah, I think you hit it. The location just a little bit higher than the hitters can handle.
There's a fly ball to Yelich in center field. We saw Goldie go up there and get one, kind of hit a high fly ball out to right center, but for the most part, a lot of swings and misses up there for Suter. He's punched out 5, 2 outs now. Here's Socrates Brito.
Now Murphy's home run back in the 2nd inning, his 5th in 29 games this year. Going into this season, he had 5 total homers in 146 games.
Brito trying to bunt his way on. Suter makes a tremendous play. Brent Suter, the underhand toss to Aguilar, and they just do get Brito at first base. Bottom 4 on the way. D-backs lead it 2-1. With a bunt single there to win the top of the 4th inning. Fans, dodge the heat and spend your holidays with family and friends inside air-conditioned Chase Field. The Memorial Day Camo Cap giveaway is next week, May 28th. Father's Day Hawaiian Shirt giveaway, June 17th. And of course, our annual 4th of July Fireworks Spectacular. Get your tickets right now at dbacks.com. We'll see you down there at the ballpark this summer. Well, so far, Zach Godley's given up only 1 run through 3 innings. Jet Bandy leads off the Milwaukee 4th. He walked his first time up, but Zach is throwing TMP, too many pitches. He's walked 4 so far, already at 60 pitches in the ball game. Only 35 for strikes. Quickly ahead of the Brewers catcher 0-2.
And it kind of follows what Zach has been doing all season long. Usually when he gets in trouble, it's because of pitch count. You got to pull a plug on him a lot earlier than you'd like. 28% of his plate appearances this year have gone to a 3-ball count. Major league average is 20%.
This is belted to left, and Bandy has a leadoff single. Well, Bandy had walked to lead off the 2nd, and Suter couldn't get a sac bunt down. Now a base hit to start the 4th, and we'll see if Suter can sacrifice this time. See Marrero in on the grass at third. Squares to bunt, gets it down first base side. Goldie's on it, and the throw gets away from Marte. Bandy stays put at second base. Little things like that, Bob, just have not gone the D-backs' way as of late.
Yeah, what a great bunt by Suter to start the play. It just dies out there in front of Goldie. His throw is a little bit high and back into the baseline. Marte tried to avoid the runner and just didn't make the play.
And that brings up the leadoff man, Hernan Perez, who has struck out and flied out 0 for 2. 2 on, nobody out. Sacrifice E3 is how you score that one. The error on the throw by Goldie. Perez shows bunt, pulls back, and takes ball one. Left, backing up, just shy of the warning track, reaches up and grabs it. Bandy hustling into third, and he's in there. Peralta's momentum was taking him well back, just shy of the wall out there, and Bandy may be able to take advantage of it, safe by a step.
That ball was hit a little harder than David anticipated, had to back up, had no momentum behind that throw to third base. Great pick by Devin Marrero to get that ball out of the dirt, but called safe at third base. Alan Campbell taking a look, and he wants the umpires to take a look.
Well, they spotted something here.
Not the prettiest slide in the world, that's for sure. Bandy's body was to the outfield side of the bag at third, but he tried to reach around with his left hand and avoid the tag.
Yeah, that ball was well struck out there to the warning track in left field. And Bandy, the catcher, trying to take an extra 90 feet.
We've seen a couple different angles. It's really tough to tell whether the hand was on the bag when Devin Marrero applied the tag. And once again, what a great pick at third base by Marrero. He got his glove above the ball, and when it took that big hop, he was going down with his glove as he caught the ball, applied that quick tag.
Yeah, he has been very much as advertised defensively. Really slick down there at third. Well, the key here is the call, which is safe, so you need clear and convincing evidence to get that overturned. And from what we've seen, not sure we have it. Either the view of the hand or the glove gets blocked by the base, the dirt, what have you.
Yeah, that was one of those rotation plays. Chris Guccione, the second base umpire, had rotated around to make that call at third base because the third base ump, Angel Hernandez, went out to rule on the catch in left field.
And the call stands, which means there's not enough evidence to confirm the call, but not enough to get it overturned either. So one out there on the corners now for Yelich, who has doubled, walked, and scored a run.
That tag in advance by Jet Bandy surprised the Diamondbacks. It also surprised Suter over there at first base. He's still standing at first. Probably should have tagged and followed Jet Bandy.
Oddly, in another jam, he left the bases loaded in the first, giving up only 1 run. And with some work to do here against the big part of this Milwaukee lineup. Zach falling off the side of the mound as we've seen him do so often this year. Behind on a good hitter here, 2-0.
Diamondbacks playing for 2 up the middle with Marte and Ahmed. The corners playing even with the baseline. Yelich runs extremely well. It's going to take a hard hit ball right at one of those middle infielders to turn 2.
Missed again, and it's 3-0. Aguilar, the big first baseman, on deck. Godley's already walked 4. The bases are loaded. Three and a third. He's at 70 pitches with 5 walks, and Aguilar will hit. Like Butcher getting out there.
It's remarkable how many batters Zach Godley will walk that do not come around to score. He's walked 5 in this game. So far, none of the first 4 have come around to score. Walking that tightrope.
And you've got the 3 and 4 hitters coming up, Aguilar and Shaw. Aguilar drove in the only Brewers run with an RBI single in the first after Yelich had doubled. Well, Godley was in a similar jam, as we mentioned a moment ago, back in the first inning. He had bases loaded, struck out Saladino to end the threat. And now they're full of Brewers with 1 out. Bandy at third, Seward to the pitchers at second, and Yelich, who runs very well at first. Aguilar this year hitting only .200 with runners in scoring position. Missed the corner, fell off the mound again. It's a ball and a strike. Waves it, 1 down and away. Trying to get him to chase 1 more. 2 balls and 2 strikes. D-backs lead it 2-1, each team with 4 hits. Brewers have already left 6. Shaw on deck. That's through into center. Bandy scores. They wave Suter home. Yelich digs for third. And Aguilar comes through a 2-run single. And it's 3-2 Milwaukee.
On that knuckle curve, a defensive swing, but he gets enough of it to guide it up the middle of the field. Brewers base runners very aggressive. Christian Yelich going first to third right in front of Chris Owings that time.
So Aguilar has knocked in all 3 Milwaukee runs. And now here's Travis Shaw. They're on the corner, still only 1 out. Shaw has flied out, grounded out, 0 for 2. Just off the plate, 1-0. Shaw's a dangerous man up there. 5 homers, 12 RBIs in his last 14 games. He homered here Monday. Doing 1. Zach has had to work like this throughout the ball game this afternoon. Two and two. And a yank foul down the right field line. 80 pitches, only 46 for strikes. Zach has walked 5 today. None of those walks have scored, but Yelich is a base on ball, standing down there at third. Aguilar, the runner at first. Domingo Santana, the on-deck hitter. He's walked and struck out today. Joey Lovello trying to snap a 6-game losing streak and get their first win on this road trip. D-backs 5-15 in May. They trail this one 3-2. Fly ball, right field. Brito will watch it go off the facade of the second deck for Travis Shaw. That's his 12th of the year, and Milwaukee's opened up the lead.
Boy, he really goes down and gets that when that pitch well down below the knees, but like a lot of left-handers, Travis Shaw likes him down there, golfs that ball off the facing of the second deck in right field for a 3-run bomb.
He is the mayor of Ding Dong City here in Milwaukee. Domingo Santana. Santana launches one to left. Peralta trying to find it. It's off the base of the wall and through his legs. Santana has a double. A walk, a single, a home run, and a double. 4 consecutive batters against Godley.
David Peralta really having some issues out there in left field this afternoon, getting a read on the ball off the bat. He's misjudged a couple of balls already, and this one had him all turned around. Looked like a breaking ball that just hung up on the inside part of the plate. It's right at the base of the fence. Maybe a little more direct line to the ball. He makes that play.
A long inning getting longer for Zach Godley. Still only 1 out. And here's Jonathan Villar. Villar has walked and singled today. Bullpen starts to get busy for the D-backs. Godley's spot is due up second in the top of the 5th inning. Fernando Salas. Gets the low strike call on 3-0 from Larry Vanover. That's 6 walks in 3 1/3 for Zach Godley. And the 9th man to bat and the Brewer 4th is the shortstop Tyler Saladino. Saladino struck out with the bases full to end the 1st. He grounded out to end the 3rd. Torey Lovello.
And that slow walk out there to the mound. This could possibly. Now he's going to call to the bullpen. I was going to say, because the pitcher spot's due up second in the 5th inning. You would think a double switch would be in order here, but I don't think so.
Back from Milwaukee after this. Tyler Saladino will be the hitter for the Brewers, and here's the right-hander Fernando Salas, his 23rd appearance of the year.
Salas and McFarland and Chapin, Jorge De La Rosa. Seen a lot of action lately. I haven't seen a lot of Yoshi Hirano or Archie Bradley, or Brad Boxberger hasn't pitched in a week.
Might have to start using those guys just to get them some work.
Yep.
Got a day off tomorrow, first of 3 in Oakland on Friday. So Saladino stepping in, he's 0 for 2. That was a rough ending to Zach Godley's outing. With 1 out, Yelich walked. Aguilar had a 2-run single, Shaw a 3-run homer, Santana doubled, VR walked, and that was it. Here's Salas. Godley responsible for both base runners. Leaves trailing 6-2.
88 pitches in 3 1/3.
He was almost literally unhittable in his first 2 starts this year, and then he had in his 3rd start that game at Dodger Stadium where he walked 6, and ever since then the command has just not been there for Zach. Of course, everything he throws moves, so the control is inconsistent anyway, but he's just not been able to find a handle on his stuff.
With all that traffic on the bases, it's going to lead to bad things sooner or later. He's been very fortunate to pitch around a lot of the walks that he's issued this year, but you just can't go about it against a team that's been swinging the bats the way the Brewers have in this series.
First team in the National League to get to 30 wins this year, Milwaukee. They are playing extremely well right now. 2-2 on Saladino. Great Council's crew has won 9 of its last 12. 30-19 on the year out front in the NL Central. And that's knocked into center field. Ed Cedar sending Santana home. Ball's bobbled in the outfield, and both runners will score. VR comes in all the way from first. Looked like Chris Owings dropped the ball in center. And it's 8-2 Brewers.
A couple of bobbles right there. CO in center field playing very, very deep. Once again, the Brewers taking advantage of that, going first to third. There you see CO's bobble right here. Doesn't come up with it cleanly. By the time he recovers, he throws it back into Ketel Marte, who drops the ball. Man.
Brewers bat around in the 4th. Still only 1 out. It's a 7-run inning for Milwaukee. And Jet Bandy, who started off this inning with a single to left field, bats for the 2nd time in the 4th. That scored a single and an RBI for Tyler Saladino. He gets 1 run batted in. And Saladino goes to 2nd on the error by Owings. E8 in center field. 2nd D-backs defensive error today. Second in this inning, in fact. Remember Goldie's throw on the bunt attempt by Suter, which seems like a while ago now.
Yeah, sure does.
Suter's on deck. Two 2-0 on Jet Bandy, the Brewer catcher. 3 balls and no strikes. Godley was able to strand the first 4 walks he issued in the game, but the 2 in this inning have both scored. Yelich and now VR. Oh! 3-0 strike is in there. Swing and a miss, 3-2. Brewers 7 runs in this 4th inning. Ties their season high for most runs in an inning. They did it back April 19th here at Miller Park against the Marlins. Full count on Bandy, 3-2. Ball, strike 3. So here's the pitcher, Suter, who bats for the 2nd time in the 4th. Trying to lay down a sacrifice bunt. Goldie picked it up, threw to first. Marte covered the throw, went just away from Cattell. And Suter reached sacrifice E3. One of 2 D-backs errors in this inning. Swing and a miss on the fastball, and it's 0-1. Milwaukee now with 8 runs on 8 hits. This is inside, 1-1. TJ McFarland will need to give Torey Lovullo some length again coming out of the bullpen. That one was fouled back, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, I mentioned the pitcher spot is due up 2nd in the top half of the 5th inning. So if you wanted to get some length out of Salas today, you would have had to make a double switch, take somebody out of the ball game, most likely Socrates Brito, and flip-flop their spots in the lineup. But since Salas just came in as a straight-up change, he's just going to try to get the D-backs out of this inning and then turn the ball over to McFarland.
And the way he's been going, you try to get some length out of Fernando, his arm might fall off. He has been busy. Slow to first. And the D-backs get out of the inning. Milwaukee sends set 11 to the plate, 7 score. D-backs down 8-2. Inning in Milwaukee. Hey fans, Game of Thrones night is July 7th. Winter is coming to Chase Field. Get a lower level game ticket and this exclusive Ice Dragon bobblehead, all for only $50 with the special event ticket pack or the VIP pack for $65. Now we have limited quantities on these, so send a Raven to dbacks.com/GOT. Belardo Harris. Still some time to make this up. D-backs trail at 8-2 as Devin Marrero leads off the top of the 5th inning against left-hander Brent Suter. D-backs trailed at 1-0. Jesus Aguilar had an RBI single in the bottom of the 1st. Diamondbacks took the lead in the top of the 2nd. Solo homers by Goldie and Murphy. So the D-backs had a 2-1 lead until this 7-run Milwaukee 4th, and now here we are 8-2. Devin struck out to end the 2nd. Boy, Brent Suter continues to work upstairs with fastballs and breaking balls. Fernando Salas' spot up next. Jeff Mathis in the on-deck circle. Suter chases a high one way upstairs, and that's 6 strikeouts for Suter.
Looks like Jeff Mathis will take the at-bat here, pinch hitting for Fernando Salas, and as we mentioned, turn the ball over to T.J. McFarland in the bottom half of the inning.
Suter has been efficient. 61 pitches now, 42 strikes. He's punched out 6. He's not walked a batter. Given up 4 hits, 2 homers, but both solo shots. That one got away from him there, and it's 1-1. Brent Suter, his 3rd year in the majors, all with Milwaukee, coming out of Harvard. He's worked both in the rotation and the bullpen every year. So he's been a pretty consistent swingman type. Previous 2 appearances, both starts, a loss at Colorado and a win at Minnesota last Friday, and today facing the D-backs for the first time in his career. He's got an 8-2 lead. Keeps working upstairs.
Yeah, look how many pitches he throws at the top of the zone or above in the mid to upper 80s, and still gets swings and misses and gets occasional called strikes up there at the top of the zone.
Well, a lot of folks will tell you, there's another high strike, that that is where you should be working these days with every hitter in the major leagues, it seems, trying to generate launch angle and use that uppercut swing. They just can't get on top of baseballs when they're up there like that, even at 85. Mathis works a walk.
You think back to some of Taijuan Walker's starts last year, when especially early in the season he had great success pounding that 4-seam fastball across the letters. Hitters just couldn't get to it, and they couldn't lay off of it.
David singled his last time up, 1 for 2. I don't remember seeing a guy just work upstairs like this as consistently as Suter has here today. Occasional guys will go up there. Goes down and away and gets the corner there with a breaking ball. 1-2.
Yeah, it's pretty clear what the game plan has been so far this afternoon for Brent Suter. Just pound that fastball up in the zone, occasionally try to nip an outside corner. Haven't seen a lot of breaking pitches.
That's the fastball at 87.
See a guy do this and he makes it look so easy, pitching in the 80s up in the zone. You got a guy like Zach Godley that's just got filthy, nasty stuff, everything moving all over the place, but he can't get it close enough to the strike zone to tempt the Brewers hitters to swing at it.
David this year hitting about .220 against lefties. Does have a home run against a left-hander. Lays off that high one. And he's even 2-2. On the ground to second. VR spins and throws to get one. And Saladino can't turn it. Peralta beats it out. Nice play there by Jonathan VR at second to get that started.
Thought that one might sneak through into right field, but instead the Brewers very nearly turned a double play right there. Good on David Peralta for hustling down that first baseline and beating the relay throw. Always tougher to turn that double play from the second base side of the field. That second baseman either has to turn his back to the bag and spin and throw to second, or open up his shoulder and throw to second. Takes a little extra time.
Nick Ahmed batting second. 0 for 2 so far. Peralta the runner at first and 2 outs. Sutter is not a guy who pitches particularly deep into ball games. He's on a tight pitch count, having worked in the bullpen this year, so they'll get the bullpen cranked up with Taylor Williams out there. Fly ball for Perez in left field. We head to the home half of the 5th. D-backs trail the Brewers 8-2. D-backs trailing the Brewers 8-2. CenturyLink brings us what's next. We fly to the Bay Area after this ball game. Day off tomorrow, 1st of 3 at the glorious Oakland Coliseum starting on Friday. Patrick Corbin, Clay Buchholz, and Zach Greinke Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A couple of day games in there for you on Saturday and Sunday. TBA will start all 3 games for the A's.
I think that's Catfish Hunter, Ken Holtzman, and Vida Blue, I think.
It might be Manea Friday, Cahill Sunday, TBA Saturday, but that's all speculation at this point. Good thing it's not those guys. Shadow is now creeping over across home plate as TJ McFarland is on to work the home half of the 5th inning. Center field, and Perez has his first hit today. Brewers will stay here. They are back from a long road trip, and so far so good for Milwaukee. They're on a long homestand now. They'll play 4 against the Mets here starting tomorrow. And then the Cardinals are here for 3 next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's a big series for the Brewers, who lead St. Louis right now by 2.5 games atop the National League Central Division. Good day for Yelich. He has doubled, walked twice, and scored twice. Milwaukee now with 9 hits. Think about the acquisition of Christian Yelich for the Brewers. One of the things that made him such an attractive trade target, other than being an all-star player and a Gold Glove outfielder, is that he's only 26 years old. He'll be 27 in December. And he signed a few years ago with Miami a long-term contract, so you've got control for 5 more years. On the ground to second for Marte. Ahmed for 1. Yelich can run, but they turn 2. Double play for TJ. Two down for Jesus Aguilar, who has 3 RBIs today. A couple of run-scoring singles.
You mentioned Christian Yelich's age, and for a young player, he's got a real good knowledge of his own strike zone. Before that last at bat, he had seen 12 pitches in this ball game. 10 of them were out of the strike zone. He took a 3-0 strike and got a hit for a double. He just refuses to expand his zone. A pretty good pitch, but John Ryan Murphy couldn't corral it back there. And they do not get the call from Larry Vano.
1-0 on the big first baseman Aguilar. RBI single in the first and a 2-run single in the 4th. Milwaukee coming off a 7-run 4th. They sent 11 men to the plate.
Aguilar's got kind of a funny pre-swing routine. He looks over at his own dugout for a while, then it appears he looks up into the right field bleachers somehow just to ease his eyes, and then he'll eventually focus in on the pitcher out there. You know, some guys get locked in on that pitcher or the release point of the pitcher, and they'll just stare at that zone the entire time they're standing in the batter's box. But a lot of hitters try to look off and then look back to the pitcher.
Right there.
Refocus.
Great shot of it from our crew here, Director Brian Moss. 2-2. That's the opposite of tunneling, I guess. Heard a lot about that lately. Everybody trying to tunnel, look at, as you mentioned, a spot where you think the ball is going to come out of the pitcher's hand or something. It's almost like Aguilar is looking out to right field and the pitcher goes, hey, over here.
I saw him in one of his previous at-bats looking over toward the dugout, and I thought maybe he was getting some last-minute advice from somebody over there on the bench. When I played with the Blue Jays and Cito Gaston took over as manager, he had been our hitting coach. Grounded to Nick Ahmed at short. I'll finish that when we come back.
McFarland gets 2 ground balls, 3 outs. D-backs trail at 8-2. of the season baseball game, live or on demand, at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription will include MLB at Bat Premium. That lets you watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. You can watch baseball on your phone like we do. Blackout and other restrictions apply, so visit MLB.tv for details. Chris Owings leads off the D-backs sixth inning against left-hander Brent Suter. Brent Suter is back out there. Not quite at 80 pitches in the ball game. CO 0 for 2. He struck out twice. Popped up behind second. The shift was on. And Santana comes in and collects that one. One away. Here's Goldie. Goldie homered to lead off the second inning, his 6th of the year. And in 23 games at Miller Park in his career, he's now got 8 home runs and 21 RBIs. This one is belted toward the left field. Foul pole. And foul.
Just got out in front of it a little bit too much, imparted some side spin on that line drive, and just did hook foul down that third base line. Ooh, so close. 345-foot line drive.
Now Torey Lovullo wants a word with Larry Vanover. I'll tell you what, during this losing skid, Torey Lovullo is out there scratching and clawing for every inch he can with the umpires.
Once again, like with a lot of Torey's meetings with the umpire, we're not quite sure what that was all about, but had something that he wanted to get off his chest or something he wanted to ask the home plate umpire about, and we'll play on.
He's great about telling us the next day exactly what the conversation was, but obviously there's a little bit of a time delay there. But oftentimes it's sort of a procedural thing. Now, can I ask you this, and what happens if you say no? Can I appeal to that guy, and what happens if that guy doesn't? You know, the whole thing. Because the umpires work under a system of their own. Certain guys might not overrule another guy, or the crew chief might say something. Everyone else backs off, so he likes to get a feel for how things work out there. Crew chief has the plate here today. 3-1 to Goldie. It's popped up almost near the roof back there. It's a big ballpark. Pretty when it's all open up like this today. Just a gorgeous day to be at the yard on a Wednesday afternoon in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, along the shores of Lake Michigan here. Full count, 3-2. We finally got good weather on this trip. It's been rough.
We wouldn't have ever guessed that we'd have a day like this. The weather we had the first game of this series, you couldn't see across the street. The fog actually got inside the covered ballpark here at Miller Park.
That is smashed foul down the line. Yeah, it was 48 degrees here in downtown Milwaukee on Monday. Just gorgeous here today. And we head to Oakland after this one. Goldie up there battling, full count, 3-2. He homered in the second. He flied out to center his last time up. That one misses away. Second walk for Brent Suter. That'll bring up Ketel Marte. Derek Johnson, the pitching coach, on his way out. Bullpen had been busy earlier for the Brewers. Taylor Williams, the right-hander, had been throwing, and there's action down there now with Suter approaching 90 pitches. Don't forget, fans, we've got some big events coming up at Chase Field later this summer. Get your tickets, dbacks.com. Memorial Day camo cap giveaway next week, May 28th. Father's Day Hawaiian shirt giveaway June 17th. 4th of July is always a big one. So we got some big games coming up at the ballpark. dbacks.com/tickets. Williams has started throwing again in the Milwaukee pen. Marte is grounded out, struck out. He's 0 for 2. Boy, went off his feet to chase that breaking ball. Way on the outer half there, 0-1. Chops that one to first. Aguilar, they get 1. Suter over there to cover and stumbles, but Marte beats it out.
Aguilar makes a nice play down there at first base to initiate this attempted double play, but Saladino's throw back to first base is not in time to get Marte. Nice effort there by Suter to try to keep his foot on the bag and track that throw.
Well, the deepest Suter has gone into a ball game, and this will end it right here. His last start, 97 pitches through 5 2/3. And he'll leave this one with 2 outs in the 6th inning. Leading 8-2. Back for Miller Park in Milwaukee after this. The losing pitcher in that ball game was Taylor Williams, who gave up that late 2-out RBI single by Daniel Descalso. And Williams is on here in the 6th inning with an 8-2 lead. He last worked Sunday at Minnesota and got his 2nd loss this year. But he's been pretty good. 15 innings, he's got 23 strikeouts. He'll face John Ryan Murphy with Ketel Marte at first base and 2 outs. John Ryan homered in the 2nd, his 5th of the year. You can see that shadow creeping all the way across the infield now, approaching the pitcher's mound. Severe shadows in this ballpark, maybe the most severe in the majors, in fact. And you get a day like this especially.
Yeah, just the way the sun sets and the way this ballpark was constructed, that shadow starts on the first base line and just slides out across the infield. Really makes it tough on the hitters.
There's a good look. Everything opened up here today. Roof of the outfield panels. The lights are on inside the ballpark. One and two. D-backs in danger today of getting swept in Milwaukee for only the second time ever, and the first time since June of 2008. Nearly a decade. Fastball up and away at 96, and it's 2-2. Just inside at 96. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Brito on deck.
Craig Counsell has a lot of big arms available out of that Brewers bullpen. The relievers for the Brewers this year are a combined 13-6 with a 2.53 ERA. They punched out 212 batters in 185 innings.
There goes Marte from first. Got him on a high fastball. Bottom 6 for Milwaukee. D-backs trail at 8-2. In the sausage race at Miller Park, this was a blowout.
Wow, quick start. Good first step out of the blocks. Chorizo just never looked back.
Secretariat at the Belmont. Oh, now he's taunting the rest of the field.
My.
That's unseemly for a sausage. A big winner today, Chorizo, here at Miller Park.
Yep. I had hot dog and bratwurst against Leo Gilmartin over in the radio booth.
A reminder, the sausage race is for entertainment purposes only. Please, no wager.
No wager.
Travis Shaw, the third baseman, leads off the Brewers' 6th. That's a good bit here. That's always entertaining. Because they get in there and they run, man. This is an athletic event. They're not fooling around down there. That's a fair ball up the line for Goldie. TJ gets over there and finds the bag. A nice job by McFarland to get that foot on the base.
Unfortunately, Travis Shaw does not run well. TJ a little bit late breaking off the mound that time, but made up for it in his sprint over to first base, able to find the ball from Goldie and get on the bag in time for the out.
Domingo Santana has walked, doubled, and scored a run. 1 for 2 today. The Brewers right fielder, who for some odd reason is only 4 for 41 against left-hand pitchers this year. And that was the chief reason why Torey Lovullo last night went with Jorge De La Rocha to face Santana in that 6th inning. And the Brewers had runners on in a scoreless ball game. The numbers said that was the call, and they got him out. He hit a fly ball, but Choi was able to come in from third with the game's only run.
Tough to figure out why a guy that I consider to be a pretty good right-handed hitter would struggle that way against left-handed pitching. Maybe the tailing fastball away from him he has trouble handling.
It's odd, that's for sure. But when you have overwhelming numbers like that, 4 for at that time 40 or now 41, you got to play the odds. You get a lot of swings like that from Domingo Santana. He strikes out a lot.
Playing the odds, that's what I tried to do in the sausage race. Hot dog and brat. Didn't finish first or second in the first 2 games of the series, so I thought one of those has to be due today.
Well, I think what threw you off was they get different guys every day to put on the suits. I believe that it's not the same guys in the same hot dogs or sausages every day. You get guests come in, or some guy knows a guy. Like I know a couple of people that have run in that race just because they know a guy and they get in there. And, hey, can I be in the sausage race? It's a big, prestigious thing here in town. 3-2 on Santana.
It must only be on the weekends when they have the little weenies run. The big sausages start down the left field line and come around to home plate where they pass the baton onto the miniature versions of the cased meats, and then they let the little kids finish the race.
Yeah, those are millennial meats. They're looking at their phones all the time, which is unsettling when you're looking at a sausage use a cell phone. There's a walk to Santana. 1 out in the 6th. His second walk today. I think that unpredictability only adds to the drama of the event. VR has walked twice and singled. He scored a run. Fouled away. Jonathan VR takes on TJ McFarland today by AARP. We take a look at the matchup here. A double and an RBI. He's punched out 3 times against TJ. Big reason why VR is a switch hitter. And he's only about 200 this year from the right-hand side. Most of his damage comes as a left-hand batter.
And I would venture to guess, knowing the way TJ McFarland pounds the bottom of that zone with the sinker, that the hits that VR has against him are probably ground balls that snuck through the infield.
Well, TJ got a ground ball double play in the previous inning. Looking for one more here. Misses down there. 2 balls and 1 strike.
That's a good spot to miss, and didn't miss by much. Just a little sinking action right at the very end. Dropped it below the bottom of the strike zone. Great plate discipline by VR to lay off those last 2 pitches, both of them starting right at the bottom of the strike zone. Looked like they were going to be strikes, and then just dipped out of the zone at the last instant.
And TJ had that sort of how could he not swing at that pitch look on his face there. Here's the ground ball. Oh boy, Marrero pretty at third, and he starts the double play. Devin Marrero just gorgeous down there. We're through 6 in Milwaukee. It's 8-2 Brewers.
A number of injuries setting him back over the last few years. But guys, none was more gruesome than in spring of 2017, sliding into home plate. He hurt his left ring finger, and pardon the graphic details, but it was an open dislocation. He said the bone was sticking out. Torey Lovullo was the first one to home plate. And a very tough injury. But Socrates is very mentally tough. In fact, Torey said this spring he had 3 teeth pulled in the morning, came in and said, "I'm ready to play today." And Torey said he did play that day.
Yeah, Jody, he's been through a lot, as you mentioned, Socrates, but still just 25 years old. He'll be 26 in September and back in the big leagues. Following a good start to his season at Reno, and he leads off the 7th. Socrates in AAA had been hitting over 320. His first look at the big leagues this year today, 0 for 2 so far. I remember that head first slide. They ran him off the field. It was not pretty, as Jody mentioned. Dislocated left ring finger. Wound up needing surgery on that finger in March, and then in July sprained his left ankle. That's the way it's gone for Socrates the last 3 years. One injury after another for him. That one is lined right to Aguilar at first.
Squared that one up. Fastball middle in and just ripped it down to Aguilar at first base. Didn't even have to move.
And now with the left-hander Suter out of the ball game, Jake Lamb will come in and hit for Devin Marrero. Jake has doubled, homered, and walked 3 times in the series. 258 on the year. Jake homered here Monday night, doubled in his first at bat last night. Right at the bottom of the zone from Williams, and it's 0-1. Jake has had an extra base hit in 3 of his 4 games since he came off the DL at the start of this road trip. Williams keeping that ball down. He's ahead 0-2. Called strike 3 by Larry Vanover. Second strikeout for Williams.
Tough at bat for Jake Lamb. Our pitch by pitch starts him with a slider to the back door for a called strike, a slider in the dirt for a swinging strike, and then 97 up in the zone, up in that upper quadrant for a called strike 3.
Nationwide vision eye on the game. Descalso set to pinch hit. Craig Counsell goes to his bullpen. Back from Miller Park after this. last work Sunday at Minnesota. Spent some time on the DL earlier this month with a left tricep strain, just his 6th appearance of the year.
Another hard thrower out of that Brewer bullpen. Just keep running them out there one after another. Everybody gassing it up there in the mid to upper 90s.
Craig Counsell left the right-hander in there to face Lamb, the pinch hitter. He brings in the lefty to face the pinch hitter Daniel Descalso, who's hitting .250 with 5 homers. The D-backs in this series so far have 10 hits. Their all-time record for fewest hits in a 3-game series is 11, set in April of 2009 at San Francisco. Oh, 0-2 on Daniel.
2009 San Francisco, that was Lincecum and Kane. Was Bumgarner there? Yeah, he was there.
All right then.
All right then. Yeah, sometimes you have to look at those numbers and say, okay, who did they face? Well,
yeah.
Sometimes you bump up against it.
Just before their World Series every other year run. There's a fastball that's in there, and Descalso's caught looking. We stretch in Milwaukee. D-backs trail the Brewers 8-2. The 7th inning. This summer, the World Cup is coming to Fox and to FS1. Every match is live. Over 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event begins June 14th on Fox and FS1. Roll out the barrel here in Brewtown. Archie Bradley on to work the home half of the 7th inning. Daniel Descalso stays in the game, takes over at 3rd.
Yeah, we mentioned that the sharp end of the Diamondbacks bullpen hasn't had much work lately. Archie Bradley on to pitch here for the Diamondbacks, trailing 8-2 in the bottom of the 7th.
Archie's 24th appearance of the year. There's Daniel, who stays in the game at 3rd base, replacing Devin Marrero after Lamb hit for Marrero. Tyler Saladino, the shortstop, leads off the Brewers 7th. He had an RBI single his last time up. This is slicing into the seats and out of play. 1-1. Brewers looking for their 10th win in their last 13 games. Their last series sweep against the D-backs, May of 2010. Their last sweep here at Miller Park against Arizona, June of 08. Fastball misses upstairs, and it's 3-1. Jet Bandy, the catcher, will be next. There's a fly ball to deep center field. Chris Owings backing up. He's at the wall, and it's gone. Tyler Saladino, that's his third, and it's 9-2. All three of Saladino's homers this year have come against the D-backs.
Elevated fastball and a hitter's count. That's when you start the bat a little early, anticipating that high velocity fastball, and Saladino caught it on the barrel and rides it out of here just to the right of straightaway center.
And the long ball as of late has been a problem for Archie Bradley. Here's the catcher, Jet Bandy. Go back to that Saturday game at Citi Field in New York. Archie came on to start the 8th inning. Gave up a single to Jay Bruce, and Devin Mesoraco hit a 2-run homer. That tied the game at 4. Mets wound up winning on the Wilmer Flores walk-off sac fly in the 9th. And prior to that, Archie had given up that Mark Reynolds home run against the Nationals on Sunday night at Chase Field. 0-2 on Bandy.
Yeah, possibly because of the lack of regular work for Archie Bradley and Hirano and Boxberger out of the bullpen. His command of that fastball just hasn't been great lately. He sprays it around, he falls behind in counts, and then when he does throw it in the strike zone, like I said, a 3-1 count. A hitter's going to start that bat a little bit early to catch up with 97, and Saladino was able to drive it out of here to center.
Well, the home runs, which had been a problem for much of this road trip, are back. Brewers on Monday scored all 4 of their runs on the homer. None last night. They won 1-0 on the sac fly. And now today they've scored 9-4 coming on homers. Travis Shaw, 3-run shot in the 4th, and now Saladino a solo homer in the 7th. Archie bounces back and strikes out Bandy, 1 away.
Well, Archie just pounding fastballs in there so far today. All the pitches to Saladino were heaters. Same thing right here. Tailing fastball on that first delivery, tries to come back in there again, ultimately gets him to chase a 97-mile-an-hour heater off that outside corner.
Nationwide Vision giving us our eye on the game. Ji-Man Choi will hit for the pitcher Boone Logan. He doubled and scored the game's only run last night. That one's fouled back at 97. Ji-Man Choi, 4 for 14 with a homer in 5 games with the Brewers. Called up recently from AAA Colorado Springs. 98, 0-2. Choi over the previous 2 seasons, as you look at the defense, 60 big league games on his resume with the Angels and the Yankees. Played almost all of last year with the Yankees AAA team in Scranton Wilkes-Barre. And he had a good spring with the Brewers, made their opening day roster.
I mentioned it last night. Craig Counsell said they had no choice but to keep Choi on the roster out of spring training. He was the best hitter they had in the Cactus League.
Well, he was on the opening day roster, played 1 game, and then went back down to AAA. He needed some roster space for a bullpen arm. Here's Craig Counsell, the skipper, his team leading their division. And Archie fires up another fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts following the Saladino homer. That'll bring up Hernan Perez, the left fielder today. He singled his last time up. He's 1 for 4.
It's featuring the Alice Cooper eye black today.
Descalso at third. Brewers add a run on Saladino's third of the year. 8th inning on the way. D-backs trail at 9-2. The second inning on solo homers by Paul Goldschmidt and John Ryan Murphy, but then Milwaukee came up with a 7-run fourth as they batted around to knock Zach Godley out of the ballgame. Saladino has tacked on a run with his home run against Archie Bradley, and it's 9-2 Milwaukee as Brandon Woodruff, the right-hander, is on there to start the 8th inning. They'll face David Peralta, Nick Ahmed, and Chris Owings, his 8th appearance of the year. D-backs down to the final 6 outs. They have 10 hits in the series. The record for fewest hits in a 3-game series all time is 11. Set at San Francisco in April 2009. And they'll need a big comeback to avoid their second consecutive sweep on this road trip. Brewers will put the shift on against Peralta, who's 1 for 3.
Diamondbacks saw Brandon Woodruff in that series back at Chase Field, pitched 5 innings against the D-backs, gave up only 1 hit, a couple of runs, walked 4 batters in that game, struck out 6.
Is it just me, or does he look a lot like J.J. Putz?
He looks a lot different than when we saw him at Chase Field earlier.
Now he looks like J.J.
Yeah, quite a bit.
A young J.J. Putz.
And Alex Avila shaved off his beard.
And slap foul, stays 0-2. I think I've developed or discovered, I should say, a disturbing trend. I don't know if our crack crew can get a shot of the bat boy here. Usually I like to give them advance notice if I can, but we were at Citi Field in New York where the D-backs lost all 3, and the home team bat boys had BB on the back of their uniforms for the Mets, and the Brewers home team bat boys have BB on the backs of their uniforms. Just saying. Saladino is there. Not that the current slide is your fault, but just trying to factor in as many things as we can.
It creates a competitive imbalance when one team is allowed to wear the BB on the bat boys and the other team is not.
Yes, it does sway things in their favor. See, they don't get to have BB on the back, but the Brewers guys do.
See, that was the trade-off. The Blue Jays wouldn't retire my number. Diamondbacks wouldn't retire my number. So MLB said, yeah, we'll give the bat boys your initials. How's that?
Every team. Nick Ahmed 0 for 3. You're just trying to get to the bottom of what's going on here, and you got to look at every angle. I know your staff has been digging through numbers all day here, looking for things.
It's not easy to find good news in the stats right now.
I think we found some, though.
Good.
Here's the 0-1 to Nick. Getting very good reports on Shelby Miller's
nice
rehab performance today in Arizona. That apparently went very well for Shelby, which is terrific news.
Did he get any at bats today? We're going to need him to swing the bats when he gets back.
I think they want to protect that elbow. Yeah, Shelby, his third rehab appearance in extended spring today at Salt River Fields. That was this morning. Still going on. Probably just ended. So we'll get a pitching line in for you if we can. But we've talked to some folks who were there, and boy, they're thrilled with how Shelby looked. One and two on the D-back shortstop. Saladino. Here's Chris Owings 0 for 3, batting third today.
The Diamondbacks had an opportunity in that third inning to really blow this game wide open. They already had a 2-1 lead. Zach Godley led it off with a base hit, followed by a David Peralta base hit, and then a fielder's choice, a strikeout, and a fly ball to center field. And the D-backs were quickly out of the inning with their 2, 3, 4 hitters up with 2 men on base.
You know, it's been like that really, Bob, in the first inning of the previous 2 games. The third inning was where they had their chance today, but they had some good chances in the first inning Monday and Tuesday. Couldn't capitalize. Had bases loaded, 1 out in the first inning Monday. First and second 2 outs last night. And the best they could do was 1 run. So some missed opportunities there. 3-0 on Owings, looking for base runners here, down 9-2.
I think especially after the 2 solo home runs in that second inning, to give the D-backs a lead, you'd like to build on that momentum. Maybe if they push across a run or 2 in that third inning, it might take some of the sting out of the Brewers' bats. That's a foul ball. I've told this story in the past. It would have cost you $50 playing for Frank Robinson.
Why?
Right-handed hitter in a 3-1 count gets a fastball right down the middle and fouls it to his off field. Frank wouldn't mind if you pulled it 400 feet foul down the left field line because you took an aggressive swing at a fastball with the count in your favor. But if you fouled one to the opposite field, he'd get in your wallet.
Not aggressive enough on the swing, not committed like you should be. Near the line is Santana. Woodruff works a 1-2, 3/8 inning. D-backs trail the Brewers 9-2. Not so much for the D-backs. They trail the Brewers 9-2 as we start the bottom of the 8th inning. And you mentioned, Bob, some of the back-end bullpen guys haven't worked a whole lot lately. We've seen Archie Bradley, and now here's the closer, Brad Boxberger.
Yeah, especially with the off day tomorrow in Oakland. You got to get these guys some work, keep them a little bit sharp. Brad Boxberger would prefer to pitch in a safe situation, but he needs the work here today.
Brewers will have Yelich, Aguilar, and Shaw due up 2, 3, and 4 in the bottom of the 8th. Yelich has doubled, walked twice, and scored twice. He's 1 for 2. D-backs fly out to Oakland after this one. Day off tomorrow. Their first trip to the Coliseum since July of 2011. It's been a long time. Check swing tapper. Boxberger cleans it up. That'll bring up Aguilar. Jesus Aguilar, an RBI single in the first, a 2-run single in the 4th. Milwaukee scored 7 in that 4th inning.
Slider from Brad Boxberger that time. Started on the outer third, swept it off the plate, low and away.
One and two. D-backs in the 9th inning will have Goldie, Marte, and Murphy due up 4, 5, and 6. No one warming up in the Milwaukee bullpen after Woodruff worked a 1-2-3-8. Ball strike 3. Larry Vanover rings up Aguilar.
We saw some pitches there from Brad Boxberger that we haven't seen from Brad Boxberger. The first pitch slider way out of the zone, and then 3 fastballs in a row. The last one with a lot of cutting action. Started off the plate inside, worked its way right back to the middle.
Travis Shaw had the big blow in that 7-run Brewer 4th, a 3-run homer, his 12th of the year. And his 3rd this season against the D-backs. Descalso, the 3rd baseman, well on the first base side of second. Marte back on the outfield grass. Ahmed fighting that sun a bit out there at shortstop. Two balls and 1 strike on the Brewer 3rd baseman. Quite a difference between what Marte is looking at and what Nick is looking at. And shadow creeping across the field. That one rolls up the line and just goes foul, says Angel Hernandez. Ray Counsell was ejected by Angel in the 9th inning last night. I have a feeling if it wasn't 9-2, he might go out there again.
That ball was cued right off the end of the bat, right down the third baseline, just into foul territory. Whew. That was close. Looked like it might have hit a cleat mark or something right before it got to the bag at third and kicked it just enough into foul territory.
Replace your divots. 2-2. Counsell was saying after the game last night, the thing that of which he was most proud was how quickly he ran out onto the field at his age.
Pull a muscle.
He can still move pretty good. Trying to get out there to protect his pitcher, Corey Knebel, who had been barking at Angel. And Counsell wound up getting tossed. Knebel was able to finish the game, his second save in this series.
I talked about Travis Shaw and his swing in game 1 of this series. If you throw him off speed pitches, he can lengthen his swing and still get to those pitches. That was a changeup from Brad Boxberger that time, and he really lengthened his swing out, able to foul it off, stay alive in the at-bat.
Stays 3-2.
And usually if a guy is able to do that, slow his swing down to get to off-speed stuff, you try to attack him inside with hard stuff. Brad came right back with a fastball in on the hands, and Shaw just had to fight it off.
He loses Shaw, 2-out walk. That's the 8th base on balls issued by D-backs pitchers here today. Brings up Domingo Santana.
Well, we knew going into Larry Vanover called a tight zone behind home plate, but it's no excuse for the number of walks the Diamondbacks pitching has issued today.
Santana has walked twice. He doubled and scored in that 7-run 4th inning. D-backs in danger of dropping to just 1 game over 500 for the year. And looking at their second consecutive sweep to open up this road trip with 3 more to go against the A's starting on Friday. Gets the low strike call that time from Larry Vanover. And it's 2-2. Back-to-back 3-2 counts for Boxberger. VR, the second baseman, is the on-deck hitter. Called strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Brad Boxberger. We hit the 9th in Milwaukee. D-backs trail at 9-2. another frustrating day for D-backs fans as they trail it 9-2 in Milwaukee to start the 9th inning. Goldie leads it off. He homered in the second. D-backs had a 2-1 lead in the second inning. Solo shots by Goldschmidt and Murphy. This was Goldie, our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing crew playing the game.
Hooked on an off-speed breaking ball out over the plate, went out and hooked it back into that left field corner. Boy, was that good to see.
Well, the D-backs in this half inning need a hit. They have 10 hits in this 3-game series. The franchise record for fewest hits in a 3-game series is 11. Set at San Francisco in April of '09.
And my staff has been very busy trying to figure out who the pitchers were for the Giants in that series. Jonathan Sanchez started game 1. Diamondbacks had 3 hits in that game. Tim Lincecum started game 2, 7 hits. And then some guy named Randy Johnson started the last game.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah. D-backs only able to get 1 hit off of Randy Johnson, Bob Howery, and Brian Wilson in that game against the Giants.
Two and 2 to Goldie. He has homered and walked today, 1 for 2. Woodruff back out there after a 1-2-3-8. Ketel Marte on deck. John Ryan Murphy after that. The D-backs, counting today, have played 6 games against Milwaukee this year, and they have scored a total of 10 runs. And in the season series versus the Brewers so far, which is 6 games, 22 hits. The major league record, fewest hits by one team in a 6-game season series over another, is 26 by Tampa Bay against the Indians in 2016. Still 3-2 on Goldie. So the offensive slump is now approaching the record levels.
Well, let's get a few more hits here. That's a record you don't want your name attached to.
Fastball in on Goldie. Strikes out, 1 away. Here's Ketel Marte, 0 for 3. D-backs had 3 hits in each of the first 2 games of this series. They've got 2 runs on 4 hits here today.
A little slip there by Woodruff and his follow through. This is just off the plate away.
Fastball's a strike, and it's 1-1. Brewers would improve to 31-19, leading the National League Central Division. Looking today for their 10th win in 13 games. They would finish the season series 5-1 versus the D-backs. We have learned in this last week at looking in Milwaukee, Bob, you get these guys in a postseason series with this bullpen, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, they're going to be a handful. Of course, in order to get to the postseason, the Brewers are going to have to figure out the Cubs just about an hour or so south of here. They're 1-7 against the Cubs this season. They've been shut out 5 times against the Cubs.
Wow. But they're starting to get healthy. The starting pitching is improving. Zach Davies supposed to be back soon. Jimmy Nelson is progressing well after shoulder surgery. Full count on Ketel Marte, 3-2. Called strike 3. A low fastball. Well, it's up to John Ryan Murphy. He homered in the second, his 5th of the year. A long fly ball to center field. Current major league record for fewest hits by one team against another in a 6-game season series is 26, held by Tampa Bay against the Indians 2 years ago. D-backs in this 6-game set against Milwaukee have 22 hits. That would be a new major league record. There's a strike and it's 0-2. Brewers a strike away from a 3-game sweep. Jody Jackson standing by. D-backs live post-game show presented by CenturyLink follows our ball game. 3-game series in Oakland starts Friday. Patrick Corbin on the mound against the Athletics. 1-2 to John Ryan Murphy. Got him. D-backs lose it 9-2 as the Brewers sweep. And the Diamondbacks set a new franchise record, fewest hits in a 3-game series. They finish with 10.
Let's get out of here. Head on to the West Coast. Take our chances out in Oakland. You have a designated hitter available for those 3 games against Bob Melvin's A's. Hopefully the Diamondbacks' fortunes will improve.
First time the D-backs have been swept in Milwaukee since June of '08. They've lost 7 straight and 13 of 14. Back with more after this.